Shade 45. It is the All Out Show with Lord Sear and Rude Jude out in L.A.
All right, man, we got to get our conspiracy theory on. We got John Scura here. What's up, John Scura?
Well, hello, Jude and Sear. How are you guys?
All right, good.
I'm all right. You wrote the book Battle Hymn Revelations on the Sinister Plan for a New World Order.
I did.
I gotta tell you, like, I'm a bit of a skeptic, so we just got you here just so you could kind of tell us a bit about it and go from there. So what's your whole theory there, John?
Well, yeah, the overview is this. It's that there's a small group of what I call oligarchs. These are tremendously rich men. They own banks and corporations who have an overall plan to basically create a one-world government. Obviously, that would increase their control. And they, with this one-world government, they would like to have a one-world police force and a one-world judicial system, and if they can get away with it, even a one-world religion that would probably not include God, more likely to, be more along the lines of worshiping nature, I guess. Anyway, I know this all sounds fantastic and crazy.
It does. It's like, John, it's like I'm here with you. I'm right. Like, me and you, we're side by side walking together. I'm like, all right, a gang of rich motherfuckers are running things and pulling strings behind the scenes. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that. That totally makes sense. It looks that way to me. But then you go off into the one world government and make up their own religion and shit like that. Like, why do they need to do that? It seems like they're doing pretty good running shit the way it's running right now.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, after, your first $250 billion, what's another trillion? But at some point, it's all about control. And that's what this has been about. I was in your shoes when I started researching this. And by the way, I urge anybody who reads the book to please do their own research. If you see anything in the book that you question, look it up. You've got the internet, and
all right. In your research, what was some of your findings that you just was like, it kind of changed it shifted your viewpoint?
Well, I didn't realize that this whole thing was going on until I looked into it, and the more I looked, the more I became convinced that this is a plan that's generations old, that goes back as far as the 18th century. That's where I traced it to, and basically, it sounds crazy, but we do have the European Union, which was formed, just a little bit over a decade and a half ago. There are plans for a North American Union that would combine Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. I have a whole chapter on that, just listing the agreements that already have been made to pave the way for this. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in our lifetimes, but I'm just offering evidence that, hey, this is part of the plan, and steps have been taken toward the resolution.
That this is the direction that is going. So it basically, what about like elections and stuff like that? Do you I'm guessing that whoever's running is basically bought and paid for in your brain?
Well, yeah, my feeling is that the two political parties here in America are thoroughly corrupted, and this is done through campaign donations and all kinds of other gifts that go under the table and unnoticed. I don't see any difference really between the Republican and Democratic Party, even though there's such a split in among Americans right now between those who see the Democrats as wearing the white hats and the Republicans wearing the black hats and so forth. And that's so simplistic to me. It just seems infantile. Anyway, these politicians, they're at each other's throat when the cameras are on, but as soon as the cameras are off, they're having dinner together. So, I don't see any difference between the political parties. As to, the viability of elections, well, we have a lot of electronic voting now, and even the guy who developed that before Congress stated explicitly that, yes, this is much wider open for fraud now. So it's easier to throw an election. It's just, I have the feeling personally that presidents lately have been chosen rather than elected.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
Yeah.
See, this is I'm not disagreeing with anything you say. And then till you go down the Illuminati route where it turns into some occult shit. Do you really feel like it's some weird, occult type thing going on where cats is fucking doing rituals and shit like that?
No, I really avoided that. Look, I'm a journalist, okay? So I try to do just a very matter-of-fact, sober study of this. And like I said, I traced it back to the 18th century. There was a group called the Bavarian Illuminati. And
John, let me jump in. John,
yeah.
You were a journalist. What were you working with? Who were you working with before this?
Oh, I started out at KFWB News. I worked at KMEX News Television. I have literally probably thousands of articles published locally and nationally.
Okay.
Plus,
right.
and I have 20 years on talk shows. And believe me, if you're on a talk variety show, you're not just doing celebrities. You're doing newsmakers, ex-presidents, newsmen. Just you name it. So yeah,
right,
I've done easily more than 5,000 interviews in my career.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. So you were saying though, I didn't mean to derail you. I just want to know. You said you were a newsman. So just keep going with your thought.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I just wanted to point out one thing. There was a Swiss Federal Institute study that came out a little over a year ago, and it was called The Network of Global Corporate Control. And what it concluded was that a mere 147 corporations form a super entity that have control of 40% of the world's wealth. Now, this is out. They have a database of more than 37 million corporations and investors, and out of that, 147 controls 40% of the world's wealth. And these corporations, which are mainly banks, are interconnected. So it's out there, okay? That's less than a fraction of 1% controlling 40% of the world's wealth. And when you do that, you control policy, national policies. You can foment warfare if you want. War is very good business for these people, the bankers and the people who own the munitions factories and things like that. Usually they're the same people, by the way. So, what you have here is kind of an ugly situation that's, headed toward uglier.
So I guess the point is, it just seems to me like that, let's say everything you say is true. How does a person live in a world where it just seems like it's something short of a revolution? There's nothing going to be any change. So, how do you do your day-to-day thing without fucking wanting to kill yourself? You just painted the most bleak picture in the whole fucking world, man. So what do you do on a day-to-day level as a person?
Well, I have to tell you, first of all, that, most of my friends had, only got about a third of the way through the book before they put it down because it was too depressing.
Yeah, it sounds like it, dude. Just talking to you, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Damn. I had to kill myself now.
It's a very depressing piece of work, I know that. But I felt that it had to be told. A lot of people, like you said, they're involved in their everyday lives. They're worried about paying the mortgage and getting the kids a good education and so on. And, they don't have a tendency to see this, and all I wanted to do was say, hey, wake up, take a look, because this is happening under your noses, and it affects every single one of us.
Yeah, I know. You and I kind of feel a lot of the same way. My friends will sit there and argue over who should be president and why Obama's awesome or why he's fucking up. And I'm just like, dog, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. You picking from the same group of people. It's like when your parents, when you were little, and they were like, hey, what do you want to wear to school? And they lay out two different outfits that they picked out for you, and then they give you this illusion of choice. That's what I feel like that's what we live in. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of people that want to holler at you. 888-742-3345. Let's go to Chris in Connecticut. Chris.
Oh, hey, man, I'm just saying, I agree with you guys. Like, pictures of this guy is pain is just, like, so bleak, and it's like, at the end of the day, that's some real shit. Like, we don't need any of that negativity, Like, we don't need to be going out worrying about who's this, who's what, whose color this, what race he is, what fucking nationality he is. We need to all be going out there saying what up to everybody, saying, like, what's going
This
on.
guy sound like an idiot, man. How did you get through?
Wow.
You sound like a fucking idiot, bro.
Was there a question in there?
Race, what color?
No, it wasn't no question. He just wanted to call up and sound like a complete fucking idiot.
Yeah,
let's go to Chris in Vancouver. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, buddy, how's it going, man? I'm just calling to say this guy's being real as fuck, man. The world needs to wake the fuck up, man. Too many fucking retards out there just reading into what the fucking government plays off, all these GMO foods and all this fucking crap. There's so much scientific evidence and shit out there right now that's proving all what this guy says is true, you know what I mean? Like, people need to wake the fuck up. There's too many stupid fucking retards out there just doing what they're fucking told every day, little fucking sheeples, man. Do what the fuck you want every day, dude. Do what the fuck you want. Sell your fucking blood. Make some fucking money, you know what I mean? Fuck everyone else. Fuck the system that's so fucking corrupt, bro.
John, do you feel that the last two callers are actually weakening your whole fucking argument?
No, I just I'm just waiting for a question to be asked. That's all.
Well, these are the guys that are supporting you, and they sound like complete fucking imbeciles. Does that weaken your cause? I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, no. Why would it? I did my homework. Everything I wrote in that book is there's a huge bibliography, and I tell people where to go if they want to double check something.
Well,
so. All I'm doing is...
I read this book, Behold a Pale Horse, back in the day, and he predicted a bunch of shit that kind of came true. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it sucks that you tend to get some fucking half-wit loonies that are riding with you, too. Let's go to Clarence in Maryland. Go ahead, Clarence.
Jude, I want to disagree on the half-lit loonies. I'm an ex-Freemason. I'm 27 years old. Everyone talks Freemason, Illuminati, Jay-Z, Illuminati. You cannot join the Illuminati. You have to be born into the Illuminati. Look at everything that's put out in public with the movies about the end of the world, the zombies. That's all a plan. There's a lot of things right in front of our faces, down to signs, down to dude, I understand where you're coming from.
Bro, you sound awful right now.
I was you before I became a Freemason.
You just was claiming zombies, bro. You just was claiming zombies.
Dead
bodies. I don't believe in zombies, but everything that's put out in public to get us ready for the zombie apocalypse is not true.
Like The Walking Dead.
John, would you like to address the zombie apocalypse?
Well, no, but come on. There is a lunatic fringe out there, and whenever you take a stance like my book does, it's going to attract some oddballs too. But again,
let me ask you this, John. Let me jump in. There's a wide belief among a lot of these people that the Illuminati controls hip hop and rap music.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
have you found any evidence on that?
No.
I swear, no. This is what makes these motherfuckers look dumb, man. When they start to try to say that like Jay-Z's Illuminati and Kanye and shit like that. But like, have you found any evidence?
I didn't even look there. If I wanted to, I could have done a book on almost every chapter in this book. I just wanted to keep it sort of available. Make it available for people to be able to read, because it's daunting enough with all of the information that's in there. So I didn't go deep into, say, Illuminati or, the music world or movies or things like that. Although, I wouldn't put it past these people. I mean, television is such a powerful influence in our lives, and so is film. who's to say that they haven't used some influence on, say, directors or writers or people like that? I just personally haven't experienced it myself.
John, do you believe in people wearing barcodes on the back of their neck, or as of ID, as a human ID, or some shit?
Well, yeah, I do a chapter on the RFID because they were, they're pushing for that. That's what one of the goals is, to get everybody chipped. And that way, you would wind up with basically a cashless society. But also, it's the ultimate form of control. If somebody, say me, becomes obnoxious to them and I'm chipped, they can just switch off my chip and bingo. I can't find a job. I can't have a driver's license. It's like I've become a non-person,
Oh, shit.
So anyway, yeah, this RFID thing, it's still lurking out there. And, it was actually included in the Obamacare bill until, there was such an uproar about it that they had to take it out. They were saying in the original bill that, although the RFID chip would not be required, you wouldn't get any medical care if you didn't have it. So that's what's that sound like? It sounds like, well, okay, you better have it,
They're forcing you to do that shit.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they took that out. They took it out of the bill. But
let's go to Michael in Ohio. Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
Yes. I had a question for this guy. About July 1st, the HR 2847 bill that's going to go into effect, how it's going to change the currency value of the dollar and how it's going to immediately affect us.
What is that? Can you explain that to us, John?
Well, yeah. First of all, I'm not familiar with the bill, but there is a move toward a cashless society. And, I've talked to some economists who have told me that the only thing that's keeping the U.S. dollar afloat now is the petrodollar, which, we instituted way back in the 60s, came to an agreement with the Arab nations that people would buy oil only in U.S. dollars. I think that partially explains what's been called the Arab Spring. You have, Libya, a new government in Libya, a new government in Egypt, new government in Morocco, and a rebellion going on in Syria. A lot of that is about the petrodollar. Gaddafi had decided to use gold to buy oil, accept gold.
Oh,
and right away, bingo, here comes this revolution, and Gaddafi gets killed, and now they've got a totally new government over there, and guess what? They're still on the petrodollar.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I didn't know about that. Let's go to Sam and the D. Go ahead, Sam.
That's crazy. I was gonna say something about Gaddafi. That's crazy. You just said that, John. Hey, look, John. I want to ask you about what do you think about sovereign people?
What sovereign people?
As far as people being sovereign to the government, are you familiar with that?
Sovereign to the government?
Yes.
Are you talking about national sovereignty?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's the plan, is to end national sovereignty.
Right. What are you guys talking about? I don't understand.
Hello?
What are you guys
well, yeah, I'll make it simple.
Break it down for us dumbasses.
The plan is, just specifically here in America, they would like the United States to cease to exist and become part of a North American Union. That would be run more like a corporation. We'd probably still have presidents and congressmen, but they would be more like rubber stamps now. As you guys who work in a corporation know how it is. It's you don't have the same rights that you have under the Bill of Rights. So anyway, that's the plan, and there are many agreements already made to pave the way for something like that. So yeah, if that's what he was talking about, national sovereignty, that would be their goal, is to end national sovereignty.
When do you predict that all this shit is going to happen?
It's impossible to predict. I've heard people say 2030. By then it would be, pretty much in place. It's certainly, I think, getting past the tipping point, okay? Like I said, you've got this small number of powerful men who own these 147 corporations, and they're already in control of nearly half the world's wealth. The world's wealth, that's ridiculous, So anyway, it's impossible to predict. They have setbacks. You know, these guys aren't like perfect. They they things happen that are unexpected and set them back. So
I don't know. It seems to me like they're doing pretty good. Like, you know.
Oh yeah. Well,
I don't know why they need to go even any further. I mean, they might, but like, why? There seems like they're running shit already. It doesn't fucking matter.
Well, yeah, and they are basically, but they still want more control. And besides, there are what are called rogue nations now that they're not on board with these guys at all, and they're completely out of their control. So, the rogue nations, of course, are Brazil, China, Russia, and India. They want to get them in the fold.
All right. Well, there it is. I want to thank you for calling up, discussing this with us. Battle Hymn, Revelations of the Sinister Plan for a New World Order is a book. You can get it on Amazon and other fine book places. John Scura.
And people can get it directly from the publisher, too. That's www.blackrosewriting.com.
BlackRoseWriting.com. Good luck to you, John Scura.
All right. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Hey,
no
thanks,
doubt.
man.
Take care. Peace.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Shay 45. We're going to play music and come right back.